Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Go the Writers. Nope, no cough drop.
I know that was a really good one this time.
It's the pops are back. So, hey Ed, good to see you. Welcome everybody. Tonight we got kind of a hodgepodge of a show.
When don't we have a hodgepodge of a show? I mean, that's our middle name practically, which is fine, which is good. It's potluck.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bad Batch. We're going to talk a little bit about Dune Part 2. We're going to talk just a little bit about the Marvels and about the stuff that the new stuff for Superman.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. And is that everything? Bad Batch, Dune. Yeah, I think that's.
I don't remember any other news coming out. It's been kind of slow on news. We need some news of something.
Yeah, we do. Ed said, I love this, Ed. Ed says, "You'll get a kick out of this, Dan. I was watching your Friday show about Superman, forgot it wasn't live, and started talking to you."
Okay, but here's the question. Did Dan start talking back? That's when you worry.
I had a bunch of thoughts going on my head about Superman, and I'd been talking to Lisa about it, and she's like, "I have to go. I'm packing stuff up," and I'm like, "Okay." And I thought, well, who am I going to talk to about it? Just go live.
There you go.
Yeah, I used to do that more often, just randomly go live before I started the Dan Wickline show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you tend to get get people that were around?
Yeah, I just have randomly pop up, half a dozen people here and there.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I do normally answer people when they talk in the chat. So.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, Jay popped up. I think Triple B popped up. Had a few people pop up in the chat. So, all right, let me throw this out about the Marvels first.
Yeah.
Because when we talked about it, I don't remember if it was on here or if it was on my my other show, but I talked about my desire to see the deleted footage and to see how much was there, and if we could piece together a little bit more. Was the movie overcut? So I picked it up. I picked up the Blu-ray, the 4K, and I did watch the deleted scenes. And there really weren't that many. Okay. There wasn't really, Lisa had a great line about it. She said that the dialogue was convenient. It just, everything resolved itself without a lot of tension.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking that maybe some of that tension is what they cut. Some of those moments of, Monica and Carol trying to reestablish their relationship because how much Carol really wasn't happy with her, stuff like that.
Had you heard that there was a lot of cut stuff? Is that what was in your mind? Or
I did hear that there was quite a bit cut.
Okay.
That they trimmed it down quite a bit. So
Okay.
But yeah, there wasn't a lot in there. There is a scene where we get to see where Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel swap, and Miss Marvel, for the first time, is suddenly on Captain Marvel's ship, and she's wandering around trying to figure out where she is. She sees the cat, and then she finally sees Captain Marvel's helmet, and just starts to fangirl, and then suddenly the communication thing pops up, and it's Valkyrie. So we have another moment with Valkyrie.
Oh, okay.
It's a little better establishing the relationship between Valkyrie and Carol.
Okay.
Which I think was kind of, it almost felt like, they should have cut it. Because it is one of my pet peeves is that they have to use the Flurkins to get everybody off of the space station.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, yes.
When earlier Valkyrie just showed up and Rainbow bridged all the scrolls away. Like,
Hmm.
why didn't you just do that?
Hmm. Hmm.
That would have been a lot easier and a lot less traumatic for the employees.
You can only do that once, though, in a movie. There's rules to these things.
Axel wasn't interested in popping up again. Axel's running the Rainbow Bridge now, right?
Um. Yes, I think that. Yes, yes, I think that's right.
Yeah. See, that's the thing that sucks. I got this great Marvel Cinematic Universe official timeline, and it's already out of date.
So is like the history of Marvel Studios is now out of date too.
Yeah, because it only goes up to Phase
Yeah.
4.
Yep. That's the problem with those kinds of books, you know.
Yeah, but I do love them so.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I totally agree. So what are the other deleted scenes?
Um, Trying to remember. They don't have a list on here.
Hmm.
It's not. There's a scene with Miss Marvel talking to the people on Aladna, saying that how nice it would be if, like, she had a scarf or something that would work like a whip in case Carol's using her powers, she can't use hers, and they don't want
Hmm.
to swap. So, and then when she realizes they're not understanding her, she sings it. She just makes up lyrics to sing it. And it was like,
Okay.
okay, it was kind of cute.
Okay.
Um,
It sounds like the deleted stuff is pretty much just fluff
yeah,
anyways. Okay.
yeah.
You
I
know,
didn't see anything that makes me go, "Ooh, that should have been in."
I try to look at it from the directors and the producers' point of view about how much deleted scenes to put out there and what deleted scenes to use because I mean, in some ways I guess I can see it sort of backfiring on them or putting something out there that like like is just bad that they cut it because it's bad and then you don't want to
Yeah,
put that out there or I don't know just that silly stuff that's just they cut because of time or
right.
it's just like it's too much of a digression but there's also cases where I think that they cut things that are seemingly important but something has really changed so they don't want to put it out there because then everybody will go, "Oh my God, why didn't you have that in the movie?" It's some kind of mythology stuff, but it's no longer valid. You
What
know.
I did find interesting is Tiona Paris was on one of the talk shows. I don't remember off the top of my head which one,
Mm.
but she was talking about two things. She said that at some point in the movie, they did give her a code name, but then it was never in the movie. But they filmed her taking a code name.
I'm kind of surprised that it didn't end up in the movie when you have the other two characters with code names.
Yeah,
I guess my thought at that time was that they just couldn't decide which one to use for her because once they did, then that was going to stick for a while. So, well, what was the code name then?
she didn't say.
Oh,
And
okay.
the fact that they cut it means that they might not end up using it. And I mean,
Okay.
the fact it's not a deleted scene. And
Well,
then the other thing, go ahead.
well, I was just thinking it's going to be either Photon or the other one that I can't think
Spectrum.
of. Spectrum.
Yep. There's another one she took for a while too. There's a third name she
Yeah,
took.
Captain Marvel.
No, not Captain. I mean, a third name besides Captain Marvel.
Why she had four different names, really?
Yes.
Huh. She
Yeah.
did not use binary at any time, though, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Wow, she had more than Photon and Spectrum. Boy, that had to have been really short-lived because I don't remember offhand.
Pulsar.
Pulsar.
Yep.
Huh.
So she was
Okay.
Captain Marvel she started as Captain Marvel in 1982. She
Uh-huh.
took the name Photon in 1996, Pulsar when she was on the New Thunderbolts in 2005, and then Spectrum when she joined the Mighty Avengers in 2013.
Do you know what her very first appearance is? It's in an odd place.
It's Spider-Man Annual.
Amazing Spider-Man Annual of all places.
16, right?
That you'll have to take your word for it.
Yeah, I think it's 16, but
yeah.
Yeah. So
all
right. So that was just what I wanted to share about the Marvels. Is I did get to see the deleted scenes they've released so far, and they weren't anything special. I don't think they would have added or detracted from the movie any.
I think eventually they put those on Disney Plus as the extras. It's like a thing, in there.
Sometimes. Some of the movies they do, some they don't.
Okay.
So, but the other thing which I thought was fascinating, almost forgot this part, is in the interview, Tiona Paris said that she had no idea the Beast was in that final scene. They didn't tell her. She saw, binary. She saw her mother from another galaxy.
Yeah.
In there, but to her, it was just a guy in a lab coat. Just a little. She said even said a little guy in a lab coat.
Okay.
Who did the scene, and then they CG'd, the Beast in there with Kelsey Grammer's voice. So she didn't know until she went to the movies. So that's where she found out that her code name didn't stay, and that the Beast was in there.
They just couldn't trust her.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Plus, we don't know. I mean, maybe that was a last minute addition.
I wonder what her script said as far as like that guy's name. It was just like, Dr. Smith or something like that.
It might have just said Dr. McCoy, and she's not a big.
Yeah.
Or just called him Hank.
Yep.
And if she's not a big X-Men or comic book reader, she probably wouldn't even have known.
If they were worried about, like a spoiler getting out, I mean, she could have said, "Yeah, I don't know. I have this scene with some guy named Hank." They're thinking like Hank Pym.
No-ho Hank from Barry. All right, let's move on. I'm going to let you talk for a bit. You have seen Dune Part 2.
I have, and I even saw Dune Part 1 when it originally came out.
I've seen Dune Part 1.
I'm here to tell you it's amazing. I really enjoyed it. It's an incredible achievement. It looks gorgeous. The cast is good. And I mean, again, just overall, every aspect of it, this really just does do away with any previous, adaptation of it at all. And when it ends, I mean, literally, my first thought was, well, wait a minute, is there going to be more? And here's me like looking it up, and they're talking about going on to doing Dune Messiah, which is the second book.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve, the director of these two, has said that he wants to come back and do Dune Messiah.
Okay.
He hasn't talked about trying to do Children of the Dune or Children of Dune.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of interesting things, but
I really think if you do Dune Messiah, you should do Children of Dune. To me, I feel like that's a trilogy. I mean, I know that Frank Herbert did 5 or 6 altogether before he passed away. And then there's like a million that his son and Kevin J. Anderson have done since then. But what's funny is that Dune Part 2 comes to an end, and I go, well, wait a minute, that's not how the book ends. And what I did is I actually took the ending of Dune Messiah and somehow in my mind attached it to the end of Dune. And I'm like, so I had to like look that up and remind myself. And it does actually end the way the original novel ends. I had totally forgotten that Christopher Walken was in it. So like, there's the emperor of of the universe, the galaxy, whatever. And it's Christopher Walken. But you know what? he was good. It was like, yeah, I think I said, yeah, okay, yeah, I can believe him, as that character. I think it was like Jose Ferrer in the original in David Lynch's Dune, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
There's an interesting other thing I want to add to that, but real quick, Sean, in case you didn't see my comment, I have not seen the Paul Dano comments. If you could link them, then we could take a quick look at them and talk about it a little later in the show.
I didn't know that you could. I didn't. Oh, it says join the chat. Okay, I didn't. I was like, wait a minute, what are you doing in there? You're right there. Okay.
But for some reason, mine only goes to YouTube and Facebook, or YouTube and Twitch. It doesn't go to Facebook, so I must not be set up right.
Okay.
But the thing about Christopher Walken is I love it's kind of a full circle moment because you go back to the Weapons of Choice video that he was in for Fatboy Slim.
Uh-huh.
And that song is about Dune.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Don't be shocked by the tone of my voice, talking about the voice.
Uh-huh.
And then the other line is, if you walk without rhythm, you won't attract the worms.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's how do I get that? Hollywood Reporter. Okay, but go ahead. What else are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm just gonna say. I mean, I can highly recommend it. I truly don't. I don't believe that you have to have read the book. I mean, I kept thinking about that while I was watching it. It has been a while since I read the book, but enough of it has stuck with me over the years that I can. There might have been some changes, but it wasn't anything that I was identifying or didn't bother me. It all made sense. But I kept thinking through this, like, would anybody be lost? And you do kind of have to pay attention. It's not like Star Wars where you might not necessarily have to pay much, attention, just watch the pretty lights. You do kind of have to pay attention. But this is the way to do it. I remember when David Lynch's came out and it was just seemed so heavy with all of the phrasing and all of the names from the novel, and all the different little things. But this really was the right way to do it. And top to bottom, it just, again, looks good, sounds good. The cast is so good that I was really, really, enthused by it. And when they come out if they put them out on disc, like in one set, I'm sure I'll get that because I'd love to sit and watch it again.
I remember watching the David Lynch one when it came out and being very confused by it because there was so much terminology and they tried to put so much into one movie.
Well, you know what? I went to see it, right when it came out, and I remember walking into the theater and they were handing out flyers that had a glossary.
Oh my God.
And my friend that was with me, he had not read the novel, but we wouldn't see anything that was science fiction. And he's like, I remember he took that and he's like, this does not bode well when you have to be handed a glossary before going into a movie. And I said, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the term Bene Gesserit. It's like, is that a religious cult here or in the movie? Or some of the other terminologies and stuff. And what always throws me off, at least, especially in this most recent one, is you've got all these, Arrakis and Atreides and Harkonnen, and then suddenly you got some idiot named Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah.
And I realize that later, as you go later in the book series, he becomes more important.
Yeah, he comes back as a what they call a gola, if I remember this correctly, which is like a golem. Like he gets resurrected, or it's a facsimile of
right,
him.
as Hayt.
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting is that the choices that they made for these two movies as far as what to put in there, what to go heavy on, and what to pull back on so as to not confuse people. And one of the things that they really step back on is the mentats.
Right.
They're kind of barely in it, and I'm thinking maybe that's because we didn't need one more faction.
Well, yeah, and Villanueva actually talked about that.
Okay.
He said that when you do a big movie like this, you do have to make some edits and stuff.
Yeah,
And
of course.
he
Sure.
decided that his approach was basically looking at it from the point of view of the Bene Gesserit. It's their movie basically, or it's from their thing. So the Mentats, and there's another group that also gets kind of short shrift.
Oh, well, there's a big one, and I think I know why. There's no guild steersmans in it. Because my takeaway is that they did not want an alien species. It's all humans in it,
Yeah.
and that is a big alien species. So they just decided not to do it at all.
Yeah, and then of course they got, they excised his creepy little sister.
Well,
I mean, she's in the womb, and we're going to see her later.
Yeah, and she's creepy because she starts to talk.
Yeah, well, she's born with the full knowledge of the head
Uh-huh.
of the Bene Gesserits. I mean, that's just weird.
Yeah, well, when Jessica takes the water of life, it shows that it opens up his sister's brain. They have he sees his sister as like a quote unquote adult in visions, and at that point then the embryo or in the womb starts talking,
Yeah,
using that actress's voice. But yeah, I mean, but it is still creepy in it.
yeah. And Sean says that he finally watched Dune Part 1 and loved it.
Good. Yeah, it's
So
really
Jim's
good.
telling you to go see Part 2. So
how is Part 2 doing? Dooning?
It's 87 million.
Okay.
I've got it here. Hang on a sec.
I mean, it had a good opening weekend.
81.5 million domestically, 97 million or internationally,
Okay.
for 178.5 million globally. It was 70% of the box office tickets this weekend. So 7 out of every 10 people that went to a movie went to see Dune Part 2.
Wow. I hope they all had already seen Part 1. So they'd be really.
But Part 1 was put out for free on HBO Max.
That's true. Yeah.
That's why I'd seen it, because I don't know if I would have, because I didn't read Dune, and like I said, I mean I know it's where Lucas got a lot of his ideas from.
It is, yeah.
It's the Lord of the Rings of sci-fi.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So that's how I. Yeah. So.
Eddie, I would highly recommend it, because what it'll do is it will finally wipe away the David Lynch movie. If there's remnants of that in your head, it'll wipe those away.
Yeah, and what they did was they cut out some of the more confusing things, and they stretched it out over 2 movies, the same amount of time.
Yep.
They even changed who kills somebody in it. So.
And there's one gender swap of a character in Part 1. But other than that, I mean, there's not massive changes. What they did is they bumped up some people's parts. Like, I would say that Lady Jessica is probably, like, her role in the whole thing is kind of bigger in the movies, more so than in the novel. But and how do you say Timothy's last name?
Timothy Chalamet?
Is that how you say his last name? Okay. He is really something. He really is, Paul Atreides. I thought that in Part 1, and I, even more so in Part 2. And his arc is just amazing. Even just over part 2, it's really something.
I gotta say, I never had any real opinion on Chalamet's acting. He was just kind of a pretty boy, and I'm like, okay. And I guess he was up for Spider-Man at one point and lost to Tom Holland.
Oh, you know what? I would have accepted him as Spider-Man. Yeah.
But I saw Dune Part 1, and then I've seen a bunch of clips from Willy Wonka or the Wonka movie. And it's like, damn, this kid can actually act.
After watching Dune Part 2, I actually asked myself if I wanted to see, Wonka, based on that I liked him enough.
Yeah, I keep seeing clips for it on TikTok. It pops up little scenes and stuff. And it's like, yeah, this kid can actually act.
Yeah. Yep. And you'll definitely see that in these movies.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to The Bad Batch. Now, Jim hasn't seen that. He has not been following The Bad Batch.
I know things, I know things about it. So
now, for me, I'm not the biggest Bad Batch fan. When it's a good action, fast-paced episode, I'm all in. When it's a heavy dose of Omega, the little girl, I want to get as far away from it as possible. And 3 of the first 4 episodes are heavy doses of Omega.
Well, from what I understand, I mean, I thought that was the whole thing about the show, was like her, because she was the different from the others, or that, or who exactly she was, or what she would become, or something like that.
I have some problems with it. Number one is that it's a Dave Filoni show. And right now, Dave Filoni can do no wrong with most Star Wars fans. I'm not one of those people, because I think Dave Filoni has one trick. And it took him teaming with Jon Favreau to make The Mandalorian as good as it is. Dave Filoni's one trick is he'll take a character or a group of characters that are outcasts and loners, or, The Mandalorian, Anakin Skywalker, the Clone Force 99. He will then add in a child to then give them a parently familiar, I don't know what the hell term I want. Basically giving them more of a parent-like attitude.
Yeah.
So with Anakin, he gave him Ahsoka. And we weren't supposed to like Ahsoka early on. She was supposed to grow on you. And for a lot of people, she did. I've always found her annoying. I like her now that she's an adult, but it was rough. The Clone Wars was rough, because of that relationship. And he's used it. Then The Mandalorian comes out, and you take a Mandalorian bounty hunter and you stick him with a little Yoda baby.
But it worked.
And then Bad Batch comes out, and you've got this group of defective clones who've been turned into their own special forces unit, and you stick them with a female young clone. And if that wasn't bad enough, because at this point, what's the name of the actor who plays Boba Fett?
Tamura Morrison.
Yeah, Tamura Morrison has a New Zealand accent. They gave the little girl Omega a New Zealand accent.
Is that right?
So it's not Omega, it's Omega. And it's not Hunter, it's Hunter. And Wrecker becomes Rekka. And Echo becomes Eco. And Tech becomes Teak. And it's like, stop that, please. Because the other characters don't call them. even though the other characters are clones and they're supposed to have the same accent.
Yeah.
Hers is just so dialed up that it just is painful to listen to.
Didn't they introduce yet another clone or another female clone, or
They did. They did.
Okay.
And that character's been kind of, I don't know what they're doing with it yet.
Okay. But that was last season?
End of last season, yeah.
Okay.
So this season's all been about, she'd been captured by the so cleverly named Dr. Hemlock.
Yeah.
Who is continuing Project Necromancer with the idea of creating a clone with a high M count. We all know how much Star Wars fans love the M count term because nobody wants to use the term midichlorians anymore.
Right. Yep.
And the whole first episode is just a day in the life and captivity of Omega. And it's long and it's painful. And then we get an episode that shows Hunta and Rekka as they are trying to find Omega. And that's like, it's kind of a slow episode, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But then we get 2 episodes of them trying to escape. And suddenly it's like, okay, now it's picking up. We could have skipped the first episode altogether and the second one and just started with the third and it would have been fine. So I'm a little happier with episodes 3 and 4.
It's so typical of you, Dan, that you just want instant gratification. That's, I
just don't want Omega. Just get her off the screen.
You're watching a funny show then.
Yeah. And it's the worst kept secret that she's got a high M count. Because we've been seeing, it's like, why is she so special? That it's like, it's obvious why. Because that's the other trick Filoni does.
Does she use the Force?
She uses it in a unique way.
Okay.
To basically talk to animals.
Okay.
So she befriended a rancor. She befriended a bunch of different beasts all through. It's like, yes, we can tell she has the Force.
Oh, how sexist. Of course, it's a female character, so she has to have a pacifistic use of the Force, of course.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to kill anybody.
It was either that or she would be a librarian.
Yeah. And of course, the last 2 episodes, she gets teamed up with Crosshairs, the turncoat member of Clone Force.
How does she say his name?
Crosshair.
Hey, is Palpatine in this season more?
He did show up.
Okay. I thought I had heard that he was going to be in it more.
Yeah, he popped up in the 3rd episode to check on Project Necromancer.
Who does the voice of Palpatine in this stuff? It's not Ian McDiarmid, right?
I could look it up.
I mean, how does it sound?
It sounds pretty straight. It sounds pretty normal.
Okay.
Whoever's doing it, it's probably the same one who's done the voice through all the Clone Wars and stuff.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're after Order 66.
Yes.
Okay. So Vader is Vader. Anakin is Vader. Has Vader been in it?
No.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Let me get the voice name. Come on, computer. You can do it. It's okay. It's okay. No one's going to hurt you. God, there's 15 episodes this season.
How many?
15.
15. Wow.
Yeah.
But they're about a half hour, right?
Yeah, but that's about 8 too many. It is Ian McDiarmid doing the voice of Palpatine.
Wow, really?
Yep.
He is such a goer. You know what I mean? He just it always kind of amazes me that he just keeps doing that. I think he might even have said this at one point that he is attached to the character and he doesn't really want to see or hear other people doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like anybody who's a clone in the series is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, not Timu Huerta.
Okay.
Not Huerta. Timu
Morrison.
Yeah, Morrison.
Yeah.
Not Huerta, Timu Morrison.
Right. Yeah. Namor.
Right. But the person who does Omega's voice is Michelle Ang.
Oh.
So the New Zealand. Does she come? Okay, she's Asian, but from Australia. That makes sense.
Okay.
All right. So that's enough of the Bad Batch. I'll watch the rest of the season, but
I know you will.
There's still 11 more episodes.
You can do it. It'll get better. You can do it.
Oh.
And this is it. I mean, for that show, this is it.
Yeah, but they might do something with Project Necromancer.
So.
All right, so let's address Sean's question.
Okay.
So Paul Dano, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, was asked about the fact that Marvel and DC had some box office flops last year. Now, I'm still having a hard time.
They did?
Using the term flop for Marvel.
Yep.
Because, you know, the Marvels didn't make the money that Captain Marvel made, but it was never going to.
Right.
And it's it's taken over Disney Plus. Everybody's watching it.
Yep.
So, but Dano says it's an interesting moment where everybody has to go like, okay, what now? Hopefully from that, somebody either breathes new lives into comic book movies or something else blossoms, which is not superheroes. I'm sure there will still be good ones yet to come, but I think it's kind of a welcome moment. Let's see if there's more to it.
Well, a welcome moment, like welcome something else. Is that what he means by that?
I think he means that it's a moment for the studios to stop and reflect.
Oh, okay. It's kind of an odd. Then he should call it. It's a reflection moment.
Yeah. He goes on to say
for reflection.
There are enough comic book movies where you just know what you're going to get. Reading the script for the Batman, you knew it was a real film. Every sentence, that's just Matt Reeves. So yeah, that's not a very polite. You know, it's kind of a ding against superhero movies right now. And you get that from a lot of actors who suddenly seem to think that, you know, superhero movies are crap.
It's just the popular thing to say right now. You know, I mean, again, it's post Endgame, and this is what we say about superhero movies. And you know what? Yeah, I know just what to expect from superhero movies, and that's why I go see them, because that's what I want. Yeah. You know, it's a superhero movie.
Sony's not helping with the fact they can't seem to figure out what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
DC is trying to get back on track, and we'll see with Superman, which we'll talk about in a minute. And Marvel, I mean, they've had some that had some negative response, but they're still making money. It's not like, you know, the Marvels made over 200,000, or 200 million.
Yeah.
Madam Web is currently at 40 million.
Jeez.
Okay. I mean, in the third week, it got almost beaten out by a faith-based movie series that's been hitting theaters called The Chosen, that's releasing 2 episodes at a time.
I don't even think I know what that is.
Neither do I. Mean, I just see it on the box office charts. I don't know much about the series, but
you know, Marvel increased their output, and when you have more movies, you're bound to have some that won't do as well as others. I mean, that's all it is that they just increase their output, and so we're getting, you know, but people should step back and say, okay, but they also were experimenting.
Yeah.
And I've said it before. There's all different kinds of Marvel superhero movies out there now. They're exploring different genres and seeing what will work. I mean, in some ways, it's like what Marvel, the comic book company, has always done, which is sort of just throw a bunch of things up against the wall and see which ones stick.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they are learning, a little bit. They've already said that they're pulling back. They're not going to have necessarily 3 movies a year, which I, as much as I love them, I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. And for every person who didn't like the Marvels, I tend to find 3 or 4 people who are finding it on Disney Plus and going, wait, that was fun. Or that was pretty good. Or where did all that hate come from? And it's a lot of it is right now to get clicks. People are doing all the negative headlines for superhero movies. Because that's what I mean. Go roll through YouTube and you'll see nothing but negative headlines. Even the big magazines are doing it too. It's like right now there's this negativity towards James Gunn, which is bizarre to me because he was beloved for Guardians of the Galaxy. He turned out 3 great Guardians movies, a really good Squadron Supreme movie,
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Now he's being handed the reins where people should be excited for it because he really seems to get characters and know how to bring the best out of actors. And instead, they're all up in arms because he didn't keep Henry Cavill.
I think a part of it is the idea that he's a traitor because he, left Marvel. Left Marvel to, but you know what? If I was him and I was offered, the sort of the top spot of the DC universe movies, I mean, why would you turn that down?
Exactly.
Plus
he says that he grew up reading DC first.
Yeah.
Ed asks if I still think it's the Snyder fans. I think it's in part that. I think there's still, a lot of people, but also I think it's the guys that do shows like this that want you to click and know that they could do a negative Snyder fan type of headline and are going to get people to click on the video.
Yeah, there'll always be that section of people who will say, this guy is being talked about right now and people are excited, so let's focus on him to shoot our barbs at. We can't we can't have that kind of of positivity going on. I remember when they released that slate and said, here's all the movies we're going to do. There was an exciting time. And here's me, a big Marvel movie fan, even though I'm a DC Comics fan, I was really pretty excited. And here's me going, okay, well, I pretty much want to see that one. Yeah, I'll go see that one. I might try that one, and I want to see that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look at the last batch of DC movies.
Yeah.
And I mean, Wonder Woman 84 was horrible. So I don't like to say movies are bad, but that was pretty bad. And The Flash was awful. Now, Blue Beetle was fun. I liked Blue Beetle. I haven't watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods yet, but I probably will someday.
Did that second Aquaman movie ever come out?
It's now on HBO Max.
Okay. What's being said about it? That it's crap or?
Not, I don't know. I mean, it really just kind of came and went. It didn't do that well.
I had to ask if it even was released. So
yeah. Jay says Snyder got it was released at Christmas.
Okay.
Jay says Snyder got the same treatment as Terrible as a whole. People just can't be patient. I'm only excited for Superman if it's cool, but that's it.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough, because are you going to put your time and effort into getting into one of these new cohesive universes if the first one flops?
Yeah.
I mean, think about Bloodshot. When Bloodshot came out, it was right before the pandemic, but everybody thought, okay, well, this will launch the Valiant universe. We'll do that, then we'll get a bunch of other movies. And it kind of went, and it wasn't a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great, but it was your Jason Statham, Vin Diesel level movie. I enjoyed it well enough, but I don't, and if they did a sequel, I'd probably watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not out there going, yeah, give me more Bloodshot, please. You know. So, but the Superman one, it's like, okay, I'm getting excited for it. I think it's an interesting cast.
Yeah.
I like that, he's bringing in some of his regulars and some of his new ones.
Yeah.
He's bringing Nathan Fillion in. So,
Mm-hmm.
and James loves Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also bringing Anthony Corrigan in to play Metamorpho. And if you don't know Anthony Corrigan, if you watch Gotham, he played Victor Zsasz and was brilliant.
I meant to ask you, is he in Dune Part 2? Is he Fade Ruatha?
No, Fade Ruasa is Austin Butler.
Okay. I got confused, and while I was watching it, I said, wait a minute, is this the guy that's going to play Metamorpho? Because they kind of look similar.
Yeah.
I thought. Okay.
No, the guy that played Fade Ruasa is the guy that just played Elvis.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he's completely bald in.
Yeah, it's a skull cap. They didn't shave his head.
Well, wow. Okay, they did a great job with it, and he's really scary, in the part. He's definitely overshadowed Sting as Fade Ruatha.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Dan. Just these last couple of like little sneak peeks, are them just saying, "Hey, today's the first day of filming. Here's a cast photo. Here's this little thing. I think they're doing that's just really doing a great job as far as keeping up some interest, not really giving anything away." But just saying like it's on, folks. We've actually begun. It'll be here before you know it, and we'll let you know things as we go along. I really thought that was a good way to go.
Ed, yes, Austin Butler's in Dune. Anthony Corrigan is NoHo Hank and Barry. He was Zaz in Gotham, and he's going to be Metamorpho.
Okay.
All right. But after they did the table read, they announced another casting. They're bringing Wendell Pearson as Perry White.
Okay.
And I love that casting. Wendell Pierce is a really good actor. If you don't know who he is, if you watch the Jack Ryan series with John Krasinski, he plays Greer, the same part that James Earl Jones played opposite of Henry Harrison Ford.
Okay, so this is very interesting. So this will be the second black man to play Perry White.
Yes, but the New Adventures of Superman, or whatever that cartoon that's going on right now, or My Adventures of Superman,
My Adventures.
Perry's also black.
Okay.
So they've kind of just accepted that Perry is now a black man, and we're moving forward.
I think that's what we're being told now. Yes.
Yeah. So, by the way, all the Superman news got me nostalgic, and I went out onto YouTube and I found a documentary on Superman that came out in 2006, around the time of the release of Superman Returns.
Uh-huh.
And while I enjoy it because it gets really in depth into the creation of the character, the comics, the Kirk Allen Superman, the George Reeves, the Superboy TV show. It gets into all of that. It's really great. But the problem is is that when they get to the modern day, they spend a lot of time talking about how great Bryan Singer is, who is kind of persona non grata anymore.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is narrated by Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
It's like, ooh, this doesn't age well at all.
I bet you I saw that back then. It
Yeah,
sounds kind of familiar. Yeah.
yeah, it was probably on the Superman Returns Blu-ray, and
I just remembered a little thing that they did that I saw on just the other day. I think it's the actress who plays Lois Lane. She's sitting there, and then they start up the John Williams Superman theme, and she's just kind of like looking around, and then the guy that plays Superman, and I don't know who the other guy is, like slowly sort
David
of.
Cornsweet as Superman and Nicholas Holt, who's playing Lex Luthor.
That's it. Okay, and they just sort of start to lean in. And then it stops. It's just like that's it.
Yeah,
It was a funny little thing.
I love that Nicholas Holt has already shaved his head.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Holt, of course, was in the X-Men First Class as Beast, and he's been in a bunch of other really good movies. He's a great actor. He was actually up for the role of Superman when they cast David Cornsweet, and he was up for the role of Batman when they cast Robert Pattinson.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah, I think they're telling him, you look more like a villain.
That's a pity part right there. Like, okay, well, we feel bad for you, so do you want to play Lex Luthor? You know what? I'm so glad we're going to get a bald Lex Luthor again, know, after that last Lex Luthor.
Okay, I'm going to have a nerd moment here. Ed, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, was the first film they did when the Sulkins, who did the first 3 Superman movies, stepped away and gave the rights to another company. It was an idea that Christopher Reeves had actually had and was behind. And it is kind of considered what killed the Superman franchise for a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought that Superman 3 was kind of bad, and then
but you can understand
Superman 4 said, wait, hold my beer.
You can understand Superman 3 because there is an underlying humor in Superman with Gene Hackman and Ned Beatty and stuff like that. Sure. So they thought, well, we'll just bring another comedic in. And Richard Pryor was the biggest name comedian at that time.
Yes. The good part of it is oh my God, I forgot her name.
Annette O'Toole as Lana Lang.
That was good casting as far as I was concerned. That was good, and I did like that part of it.
Who then went on to play Martha Kent in Smallville.
Yeah.
And they cast her not knowing she had played Lana Lang.
Yeah, she's probably sitting there thinking, like in the audition or talking about it, like, oh, I'm here because I played Lana Lang. Yeah.
Well, the 2 guys that do it, Miles Gellar, was it Gellar? Alfred and Miles, whatever their names are. They were Alfred Go and Miles Teller, I think it says. They're like, wow, she really knows a lot about Superman. She really did her reading and stuff. And then she finally said, well, you guys know I was in Superman 3, right? They're like,
Superman 3 was where we almost got Brainiac. There was this moment where this thing that they had that was kind of like Brainiac, but not really.
And we had Robert Vaughn as the bad guy.
I know. I mean, but you know what? His whole scheme is to destroy the coffee crops, so he can take over like the coffee industry or something.
No, hang on a second. You can't pick on that and then not pick on the fact that Superman 1, Superman 2, and Superman Returns were all real estate scams for Lex Luthor.
with nuclear missiles.
Yeah. In the first one, he blows up the coast and makes like Arizona beachfront property.
Yeah.
And then in Superman Returns, he's just using kryptonite or whatever the hell it is to make more islands on the planet.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
Whatever.
okay. When John Byrne relaunched Superman and reworked Lex Luthor, we all know who he used as his guide for Lex Luthor. He's admitted it. There's even a Lex Luthor book that looks a lot like this real person's book. So the fact that in the movies Lex Luthor is doing real estate scams seems kind of appropriate, I guess.
I want to admit that I did actually like Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. I do. I actually like Superman Returns. I always have, you know.
I liked Brandon Routh. I liked the story well enough. I hated the costume.
That's interesting. I didn't maybe feel one way or the other about it. It was acceptable as far as I was concerned.
The shield was too small and the shorts were too small. It looked funny to me. Now, when Brandon Routh, they were talking about in chat, got to play Superman in the Arrowverse, the Kingdom Come version, that was perfect.
Yes.
And I look at Brandon Routh and I really do like him as Superman. I think he's a great looking Superman.
Oh yeah, I thought that then, and I still think that now. I never had any issue with him.
Yeah, I can't think of any Superman that I've looked at and I went, why did you? Maybe Dean Cain. I didn't have a problem with him, and I enjoyed the show.
Yeah,
but he never felt like Superman to me.
I'll give you that. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I like what's the recent guy that just got his show canned.
Hoechlin,
whatever.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, I do. Except he just needed to shave more. That's the thing that bugged me. Like he had too much of a 5 o'clock shadow for Superman, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, no, but he's really good, and I love the fact that he got into a superhero series or a comic book series after being in a comic book movie when he was a kid.
What was that?
The Tom Hanks one, Road to Perdition.
Oh, what? Okay, I don't think I had heard that before.
He was the little kid with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear that James Gunn canceled that show on purpose so that it didn't interfere with his movie? You know, there's another reason, you know, to hate James Gunn.
Yeah. I think of Tyler Hoechlin, I think, so as a kid, you worked with Tom Hanks and Paul Newman. Good for you. Good for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Good for you.
Okay, Dan, I've got to ask your favorite Lois Lane.
Ooh.
I know, right?
Oh, wow.
Come on, TV or movies.
There's so many good ones. I mean, I eliminated one immediately, and that's Kate Bosworth. I didn't like her in Superman Returns.
Okay.
I do like Amy Adams in the recent ones. Bitsy Turlock is really good in the TV show. Erica Duran's kind of grew on me. She was a little annoying at first, but on Smallville.
Okay. Come on, there's the big ones that you still haven't mentioned yet.
I'm not that big a fan of Margot Kidder.
I struggled. As much as I love Superman the movie, I mean, love. That part was difficult for me as a kid, because it was such a different take, you know, that she was this New Yorker, and you know, and that was a little rough. I finally accepted her, but it was a little rough.
Yeah, and Noelle Neal. It was so good.
I'm gonna add one more in, and that's who Noel replaced, which is Phyllis Coates.
So technically, Phyllis replaced Noelle.
Or
because Noelle was in one of the.
Oh, she was in the movie. She was in the movie Superman versus the Atom Men, I think.
The Mole Men.
Huh?
Well,
Yeah.
Superman versus the Mole Men, then the Superman versus Atom Man.
Atom Man, and then Phyllis Coates, and then Noel came back. Okay.
Yes. So, if I had to pick a favorite, I really liked Amy Adams in the role.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I like Phyllis Coates.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't. But
what do you think so far of our new Lois Lane? I mean, you haven't really seen her as Lois Lane, but I mean, do you think that she's gonna, be her own Lois Lane, or what?
I think she's got spunk,
Okay.
and I hate spunk. There's an old reference for you guys.
And can she spell brassiere?
I think she's going to do great.
Okay.
Because I mean, I've seen her on The Marvelous Miss Maisel and stuff like that, and I think she's a really good actress.
Yeah.
And she gets it. I've seen some interviews with her, and she really gets it. She even talked about how excited she was to get to read some Superman comics that she hadn't had a chance to read yet. So she's already.
There's like 1,000 or more. How many?
But my point is that she's already familiar with the character and has read comics.
That's good. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to see what the chemistry is with our Superman. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what our new Clark Kent is going to be like.
Yeah. The one for me that's going to stand out is going to be Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Because that character has been done so wrong in live action, in the movies. Michael Rosenbaum was a great Lex Luthor.
Well, I was just about to say, what about him? Yeah, sure.
John Cryer was a pretty good Lex Luthor for the time that he was Lex Luthor in the Arrowverse.
Okay.
Kevin Spacey and Gene Hackman. I know that there's a reverence to Gene Hackman.
Yeah, there is.
The Christopher Reeves and Richard Donner films.
Yeah.
But that's not Lex Luthor to me. That's a joke character. And Kevin Spacey was just playing Gene Hackman. Just like because Brandon Routh was told to play Christopher Reeves.
Yep.
So, and they did that well. So I respect them for that part of it.
Yep.
But I want Lex to be the narcissist, to be the intelligent guy. I want him to be the conniving, the schemer. I want him the Clancy Brown version from the animated series. Or like I said, Michael Rosenbaum. I don't want the jokey, silly. And I'm a little worried because along with Lex, we're getting Miss Tessmacher and Otis, which makes me think it's leaning more towards the jokey version.
I don't think I've heard that. Why would they do that?
Yep, we're getting Miss Tessmacher and Otis.
That's odd because they're original to, the Chris Reeve movies.
Yeah, they're both brought into the comics eventually.
Yeah, I know. It's just odd. That's I think one of my bigger concerns for it is that I don't want the other heroes that we know are in the movie to overshadow Superman. I still want it to be a Superman movie and not, the Justice League movie or Justice Society or whatever.
Gunn has said that the amount of characters in the movie are there to tell the story, and that Superman and Lois are the protagonist.
Good.
It's their story.
Good.
So
good.
But yeah, when I saw Tessmacher and Otis, I'm like, oh no. That's the one thing that worries me. If it would have been Mercy Graves, I would have been like, okay, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
But Tessmacher and North, I mean, Jay was saying earlier, he just wants to hear Otis say, Mr. Luthor.
Mr. Luthor, are we going to Addis Ababa? I wonder what they're wearing. Looks like a burnous.
And I love seeing Ned Beatty and Gene Hackman together. That was fun.
Yeah, it was.
But
It was.
that movie was.
Gene Hackman in the serious scenes, he is really good, and he has probably like maybe the best line in the whole movie about, is that how you get your kicks, by planning the death of innocent people? No, by causing the death.
Yes.
And no, really the best part is when she said, Lex, my mother is in, I can't think of the place in New Jersey that the missile comes down, and he just looks at his watch and goes, that's a great scene.
Gene Hackman played the part very well, but it was such a bizarre. I mean, you got the Salkins come in to do this, and they immediately hire Mario Puzo off of The Godfather to write the script, and then they bring in a bunch of other people to make it more comedic.
Yep. It is still one of the premier superhero movies.
There's a lot of great stuff in it.
Yeah,
but it's a little more campy than I can stand.
But you know what? You'd be hard pressed to come up with another superhero movie where they'd get the main guy exactly right. For that time. It's the same with the Adam West Batman. For that time, that was, that was an accurate portrayal.
In a lot of ways, it was for DC what the first Iron Man movie is for Marvel.
Good
you
comparison.
Hit on the right cast, you hit on the right director, the right tone, the right villain.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good point. Good point.
Yep. And I mean, like I said, there's some great lines in that movie too. Where he flies up, don't worry, Miss Lane, I've got you. And she's like, you've got me. Who's got you?
Whoa, Jim, that's a bad outfit. God, I had one of the best times going to see that. And I remember I remember getting chills at some point. Let's see, I was 14, I think. What year was that? It was 78, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was like 13 and a half. And just, I remember from the opening, scenes where it looked like a little old movie screen and the little curtains open, and then that kid's voice is, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing ever. Like, what? And then they start doing all the words coming at you, and then my God, the Krypton scenes were like, oh my God, we're actually on an alien planet.
And Marlon Brando.
And then the thing that haunted me for years, that I totally misunderstood what Terrence Stamp said. And it took me years to figure out he didn't say you and one day your ass. And I remember being really embarrassed because I was with my dad and I'm like, oh no, why did they do that? Why did they say put a swear word in there? And plus it didn't make sense either, Years later, I found out that it was that just the way he pronounced heirs.
Yeah.
And then one day
they could have done is said, we're going to put you into the negative zone. Touch the butter.
We're gonna make you a deal that you can't refuse.
I was playing D&D, and I needed a voice for the sheriff of a small town, and suddenly that's what came out was Brando. And then they kept going back to that town, so I kept having to go back to that voice.
Oh my goodness!
Into my town, and you're trying to boss me around. Why would you do that? Why would you not think I'm going to lock you up, or maybe even kill you dead and all that?
I'm sure that really broke up the game.
Oh, they were busting up. I do funny voices when I Dungeon Master all the time. I played a halfling rogue, and we're all sitting around. We're playing the first round, and my character comes in, and they want me to introduce myself, and I'm like, "Hello, my name is," and I do this voice for the entire thing, and I'm stuck with this voice. And then at one point, there's a bard, and he starts singing, and I request he does toss a coin to your witcher because it seems period appropriate. And he starts singing, and I join in. So I say, toss a coin to your witcher.
Okay. All right. All right.
Oh, that's the other thing about that documentary I watched is they went through the death of George Reeves and how that affected people and stuff. And it's like, wow, yeah, I could see that because he was so identified as Superman,
Yeah.
and everybody really loved him, and then he was just dead.
Yeah. Well, that supposedly traumatized children because you had newspaper headlines that said like Superman found dead, and they're like, how could Superman be dead?
Yeah. He can't shoot himself. Bullets bounce off of him.
What was the name of that documentary? Do you remember? Well, you don't worry about it. I'm kind of you kind of got me curious about it because I feel like I did see that.
Well, 1 second, I can tell you. Plus, the other people here might want to watch it too. No, it's not Look Up in the Sky. It was I just watched it.
Yeah, I know, right? You watch too much stuff, that's why.
I do. I absolutely do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
Oh, is that it? No, that's the secret origin of DC Comics.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's yeah, that's it. It's the Look Up in the Sky, the amazing story of Superman.
I'm going to look that up.
And it was actually streamed on the DC YouTube channel.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm afraid I have to get to bed. I have to get up in the morning to go to work.
I understand. Let me check real quick, see if there's anything we missed. Oh, we missed a lot. Jay and Ed have been talking away.
Oh, well. Well, whose show is this anyway?
The Fleischer cartoons. They talk about that in the documentary too, and how they were actually rotoscoped and they were up for Oscars and just for fantastic cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Ed says, what I always wondered is when they did the Look Up in the Sky, why in the hell was the guy so excited to see a bird?
Birds that well, it's people trying to justify what they're seeing. It's a bird, it's a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the comics and stuff that look at, it's like, do I look like a bird? You know? And a plane? I'm that big? Do I need to diet a bit, Lois? So, all right, we got to wrap it up there. Jim has to go. But it's good chatting with you. We will see you next week, Jim. All of you come back. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you have not already.
Ding, 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 ding.
And I don't know what we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah, I don't. I will. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I'm doing a comic convention next week, so I'll have that under my belt.
I'll try to watch Aquaman 2.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That's a good.
We'll come up with something. All right. Crocheting with Dan and Jim. You ready to learn how to crochet, Jim?
No. I can barely do the things that I do. I don't need to learn to crochet.
All right, guys. Have a great night. We will see you all during the week. I don't think there's going to be a show on Thursday for me. Turns out I have to take my mother to a doctor's appointment that happens to be at 3:00, about a half-hour drive away from here. So I don't think I can get that moved. So we'll see how that goes. If not,
well,
you
better hope no big news breaks.
I can always record stuff and throw it up there.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Yeah.
All right, guys, take care. We will see you all soon.